This is Krystal. Thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from David Rosenfelt's Best in Snow. Chapter 1. The night turned out to be significantly worse than Alex Oliva expected. He dressed in a suit and tie for one of the seemingly never-ending series of charity dinners he was first to attend. This one was not going to be as bad as most, because he wasn't being called on to give a speech. All he had to lend to the event was his presence and his willingness to shake a lot of hands. But his seat on the dais, unfortunately, meant that there would be no quick getaway. So he was resigned to a night of smiling, working the room, and, he hoped, being out of there by 10 o'clock. It would be relatively miserable, but was part of the process, and he was used to it. None of that happened. Alex left his house through the back door and was shot in the back as he reached the garage. The bullet was perfectly placed, passing through his heart as it went through his body. If Alex felt any surprise or pain, it was momentary. His killer picked up his body and carried it off, to be left at a place of his choosing. The entire operation took less than 2 minutes. But one thing was for sure. There would be an empty seat on the dais. Edna is getting married. Edna is getting married. I don't want to seem too gleeful about this, so let me rephrase it. Edna is getting married. That's nice. First, a little background on Edna and me. I'm a defense attorney, and I have employed Edna for more than 20 years. She has been my self-described secretary, executive assistant, and office manager. Her job hasn't changed, but the titles she has given herself have evolved along with workplace conventions. Most significantly, her job has remained consistent in one specific aspect. She does absolutely no work. She avoids it like the plague, though until recently, she was willing to make the effort to cash her checks. She finally set up direct deposit, just to make the whole thing less exhausting. Of course, if someone is intent on not working, I'm a pretty good lawyer to not work for. I am in semi-retirement due to significant wealth and significant laziness. I have to be dragged kicking and screaming into a case. Once I take on a client, it's Edna who does the kicking and screaming. The guy she's marrying is David Devine, who I've met tonight for the first time. Edna has brought him over to our place for coffee. She said that it was important to her that he meet me and my wife, Lori Collins. Our son, Ricky, is not home tonight. He has a sleepover at his friend Will Rubenstein's house. They seem to have sleepovers pretty much every non-school night. Half the time, Will's family is the host, as they are tonight, and the other half we get the honor. David owns 12 Taco Bell restaurants spread throughout the Northeast, though he's just mentioned that he's planning to sell them and retire. I would estimate that he and Edna are both in their mid to late 60s, and David says that they want to travel a lot to see the world. My assumption, though it hasn't been mentioned, is that Edna is going to retire as well. She'll have no financial reason to work, and it's not like she loves her job. It's not even like she does her job. It's been a relatively pleasant evening so far, though it's becoming a long one. I'm starting on my fourth cup of coffee, and I don't particularly like the stuff. Lori and I have been making eye contact for about 20 minutes. My eyes have been saying, when are they going to leave? Her eyes have responded with, be nice, Andy. My eyes haven't come up with a good comeback to that. Making matters worse is the insufferable Christmas music that has been on in the house for the entire evening. We're just approaching Thanksgiving, but that is well within the 4-month marathon that Lori considers Christmas. It is making me wish I took cyanide in my coffee. And if you would like to hear the rest of the story, you can check it out on Libby. Please join me here next week as I read from the first chapter of Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. Thank you and have a great week.